Hello, my friends. And lest you think I just got coronated with this crown, that is actually part of my C logo, as in the Kathy Weaver KC piece. So it came up interestingly on the Zoom background. So there you go. Today, I wanted to chat about one of my favorite subjects. MyFinalFootprints.com is my fourth book that I have written. And for those, and I appreciate you guys so much. For those of you who have already read it, printed it off, shared it with your friends and family, I can't tell you how that warms my heart. The pieces of many of our puzzles are not public yet, even to our public family. And I love hearing the private comments that you send. I printed it off. My sister printed it off just in time, those kind of things. But myfinalfootprints.com is definitely my gift to you. And I appreciate the support of all my books. I really do. And this one right here, He Hit the Clouds Running and Never Looked Back, has had so much reception. And again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But more importantly, I feel for the most part that many people are getting a little bit more comfortable talking about the D word. And I now go to Death Cafe. I know that will surprise you. Some of my friends are like, really? But Death Cafe, I had never heard of before. And if you are in North America, there's an opportunity called Alignable. And that is a social media platform. It has mastermind calls, teaching, training calls, and it also has what they call Smart Connects, which is my interpretation of speed networking. So I'm always looking for events. There's a great big search tab on Alignable for that. And I'm always looking for events. And when I'm just searching through the event pages, what's happening on Monday, what's happening on Tuesday, what's happening all the way through the week. Is there anything happening on Saturday? Yep. Is there anything happening on Sunday? Death Cafe. And I went, what is that? And one of my pastor friends on Alignable had said, when I told her about my two grief journey books, myfinalfootprints.com again is free to you, and both books are on there. The He Hit the Clouds Running book is recorded by me, and the printable PDF of My Final Footprints is part of the document there. And so as soon as I told her about those two books, she said, oh my gosh, you'd be great coming to Death Cafe. And I said, what on earth is Death Cafe? And because I had never heard of it before. And so, of course, now I'm a fan. The lady who runs it is very sweet and very, very knowledgeable. And that rocks my world as well. So many times when I learn things from other people, and all it is a hosting of death topics. 5 people show up. We talk about their experiences or questions they have. 20 people show up, same drill. Who has anything they'd like to share? Well, for having gone the last couple months, I'm blown away that even I, with death experience, actually since the 60s, don't do the math. I'm 27 in case you're looking that up. But the bottom line is literally with death experiences since the 60s that are vivid in my mind, I have found that nobody wants to talk about death. Nobody wants to talk about end of life. Nobody wants to talk about much at all, but with the D word. So I just wanted to bring up a couple things today. And again, this crown is cracking me up how it showed up on the Zoom thing, but hopefully you will put up with it. I don't want to be the queen of death now, but I guess that's another term. Some of the things that were discussed at Death Cafe, and again, there's no agenda, no nothing. The lady that runs it is super sweet, and she just opens the door. She says, "Okay, what's up?" People talk about my somebody died, my this died, my someone else is in hospice. I'm a hospice nurse. There's every single kind of thing you can think of at these death cafes. And it's just an opportunity. In my case, I listen because I love to learn and guess I can't even tell you to guess the stuff I learned this time. So one of the first things that was brought up that I had not thought about, and I guess there are different ways to look at this. We've talked about in my final footprints, of course, but also in some of the other videos that I've done, celebration of life. Some people want a funeral. They want everybody and their mother to come. They want the biggest, best funeral in the world. They want a casket that costs $1 zillion made out of solid gold. There's all kinds of ways to say goodbye, farewell to your family members, to yourself, however you're going to do that, as far as making final arrangements, as they call it. Okay. So then from grandiose funeral goes burial, goes plot, goes cremation, goes celebration of life. So when we were talking about that, again at Death Cafe, um, celebration of life turned into exit party. So, of course, when I hear a new term, I'm all over that. I want to know what exit party means. So, exit party. All right, I got to wrap myself around that one and figure this out. Because again, we do funeral, we do celebration of life, cremation, burial, all that stuff. And that's common. I don't ever say normal because nowadays, what would be normal in this case that you would automatically do? So, exit party. All right, I had to wrap myself around that one a little bit and figure out what that is. So, the people were talking about exit party, and Susie is going to die in a couple months or a couple years or a couple weeks or 10 years from now, who knows? But rather than wait until she has passed away, um, she wants to have a party now. And she wants to have all of her friends there while she's still living and still healthy and still fabulous and still amazing. And she doesn't want to wait until she's in a casket or in the ground or in cremains or whatever she's doing. So she wants to have an exit party. So a lot of people have said, at my funeral, I want you to pop bottles of champagne all over the place. At my funeral, I want you to have beer everywhere and cheers to me. Great. Whatever your deal is, that's fantastic. I want everybody to wear purple and at my funeral. Okay. But let's think about the exit party thing for a second. And again, I just wanted to throw this out there because I'd never heard of it. If you guys have heard of it, I thought, all right, let me throw that up to my network and find out if you guys know what that means. Or if you've had one. I'd actually love to know that part because I thought, huh, a part, and especially with all the networking that I do, I'm instantly going, a networking exit party while you're still healthy and fabulous enough to enjoy it. Smart. So, anyway, I didn't know how you guys felt about exit party. So, every month after I attend Death Cafe, you are going to probably get ready for one of these videos. So, exit party was one of the topics. And again, we do funeral. What does that look like? Some people were talking about the fact that they have home funerals now. Some people choose to die at home. They've been in the hospital forever. They're sick of it. Get me out of here. I want to die in my own house. Okay. And that's their wishes. So they die in their own home, and there's procedures and topics, and everyone, every state, every country probably has a different practice, protocol, legal, all that stuff. So check it out with your own location and find out if that's a good fit for you or your loved ones or whoever the topic is for. So now you're going to have a home funeral. And now you're going to have a celebration of life, whatever that looks like. But again, the exit party is before we go. And I just wanted to know how you felt about that. Now, drum roll, please, my friends. Once again, as I mentioned, when I find out new things, again, those who have called me the death chick, that's such an interesting thing. But again, I like to bring up topics that nobody wants to talk about because we're probably not getting out of here alive, right? And what is something that you haven't discussed yet that you'd like to know about? That comes up a lot at Death Cafe. Can you help me with whatever that is? A couple months ago, we actually learned about cremation bricks. I didn't know what that meant either. And so look it up. It's everywhere. Who knew? But look it up. But one thing, for those of you who don't know, I am in the Kangen water business. I have been in this water technology industry now for almost 17 years, since 2008, depending upon when you're watching this video. But 2008 to present, I have been full-time in the water technology industry. And I LOVE love it. We talk about alkalinity. We talk about pH. We talk about everything that has to do with water. except one thing that I had never heard of before is water cremation. Well, I'm telling you what, the radar on this girl went up when I heard that term. And I said, um, talk to me, guys. Talk to me. I've heard of cremation. I've heard of cremains. I've heard of crematories. I've heard of anything to do with that as far as religious beliefs, and some people can't handle it and all that. But again, I love learning new things, and Death Cafe has been a huge source of my current learning on this topic that nobody wants to talk about, the D word. Water cremation. Hmm. So I wrote it down. Like I say, I take notes. Samantha, the lady who runs this one, is so sweet, so patient, so kind, so knowledgeable. And you can just kind of tell she always looks at me like, that lit you up, didn't it? She's great. And so water cremation. So after we're off the call, which I kind of couldn't wait for this one to end because I couldn't wait to dig in, and I don't want to do any research while I'm on the call because I don't want to miss anything. It's a great group. It lasts about 90 minutes and no agenda of any kind. Whoever hops on comes on with a question, a comment, a topic, whatever, and that's where the meeting goes. So it's nice. So we go from exit party to home funeral to cremation bricks to water cremation. If anybody just hopped on in the middle of this video, I guess I would have to say beware or I'm sorry. But all the things that nobody wants to talk about are some of the things that I like to bring up because, first of all, I love learning. But second of all, with the opportunities to read my books, again, they're all free. MyFinalFootprints.com will give you both of them. I want people to not be afraid to talk about the inevitable, the process. Some of my friends now, and I appreciate this times a million, some of my friends have said, you know what, when you start doing all your crazy videos, as they call them, I'm now following hospice nurses on TikTok. That warms the cockles of my heart because I follow, I don't know how to tell you guys this. I follow hospice nurses, I follow morticians, I follow crematorium owners, I follow lots of different folk on TikTok. And again, I do it because I love to learn. Most of them are very professional and um, uh, competent and respectful and all those things. It's not drama trauma stuff, at least not for me. But when some of my friends have said, because of you, and I get this like, you're such a nut job, because of you, I am now following hospice nurses on TikTok. Okay. Once again, what is the end of life procedure? What is the dying process? I was doing some of that wrong myself with some of the folks that I have um, end of life caregiving topic with. I wasn't aware of some of it. So I love learning. And as I said, we're not getting out of this alive. So I wanted to offer some of these tips. But water cremation was a new one for me. And there's YouTube videos and AI searches and all kinds of stuff. But as soon as they were talking about the fact that it's alkaline water, ding, 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 my industry for since 2008, I'm instantly going, wouldn't that be a cool thing? You're born, you live, you love alkaline, you speak alkaline, you teach alkaline, you sell alkaline, and now alkaline is how you return home. And I just thought it was a cool circle of life, if you will. So if you haven't heard of water cremation yet, look it up. Like I say, I'm not an expert. Disclaimer all over the place from a standpoint of death and dying and survivorship just happens to be part of my DNA since the 60s. And that is in my book, He Hit the Clouds Running and Never Looked Back, recorded for free on myfinalfootprints.com. And so myfinalfootprints.com is a printable PDF. Do you want your funeral live streamed on Facebook? Whatever that funeral may look like. Do you want your social media up or down when you're gone? If you don't know the answers to those questions, the folks that you're leaving behind in what I call death fog, your brain is totally gone because temporarily, usually, because your person, your loved one has gone home, as I call the death piece, and you can't make rational decisions yet because you are in that blur. And so you're wanting these folks to decide, do you want your social media up or down? Oh my gosh, we never talked about that. Do you want your funeral live streamed? Oh my gosh, we never talked about that. MyFinalFootprints.com. And now with my new friends at Death Cafe, I am finding new things to discuss that either nobody ever thought about or talked about, and certainly not in my network. So I wanted to share these things today because I am happy for you guys to call me the death chick. That's fine. But also, I love being part of Death Cafe. It's not faith-based specifically, by the way. There's all types of cultures and traditions and things that are discussed, but the alignable piece is North America so far only. It hasn't gone to other countries yet. So, but there is deathcafe.com. So take a look at that and see if there's a Death Cafe organizer in your location and whether it's a Zoom call or in person. And so, anyway, I'm learning a lot. I love learning. And once I learn something, these cool topics, anyway, I thought it would be another opportunity for you to start a conversation with those that you love and care about and see if you can get some of these details off your plate so that nobody is broadsided. I'm Kathy Weaver. I have written these 4 books that you see next to me. MyFinalFootprints.com is where the grief and bereavement books are located. The others are on my YouTube channel if you're interested in networking. And certainly if you're interested in an exit party, that networking piece is part of it. Bye for now, my friends. And I love how life goes full circle.